Hey guys, Cam for 15 back at it with another video for you guys. Back with another episode review of what's his face of Sword of the Demon Hunter. Now I know I'm like 3 episodes behind on Sword of the Demon Hunter, but it was still interesting to say the least, with where the story was going and everything. It's good. Now, episode 7, it was kind of just mostly Jinya finding out about his adoptive father and how his adoptive father was raised. It was a nice kind of backstory to see how he became the man he was, and we found out, like, he basically sacrificed his life for uh where how he sacrificed his life for Jinya and Shirayuki, um so they can basically live and prosper, and basically kind of told him like, hey man, protect her. But that was a nice thing of Jinya basically getting an understanding of essentially more of an understanding of like how his adoptive father was and everything, and how much he truly did care for them, and getting more good backstory and stuff like that. So yeah, but these 2 episodes, I like these 2 episodes going hand in hand, episode 8 and episode 9. Um it had a Natsu focused portion of it. And you start the episode 8 off with the fact that Ofu and Natsu, they went to this festival, I guess this New Year festival or something like that, and they're kind of talking a bit, and they actually bring up Jinya in the conversation. Now, Ofu, I don't know, I guess Ofu was kind of teasing her, it's like, wow, you're talking about Jinya a whole lot. And I guess that they were implying, like, Natsu. I think, okay, so it's clear after these 2 episodes, Natsu has feelings, or I guess you can say had feelings for Jinya at a point, because she tells Ofu, like, I remember, he came 4 years ago to my house, and he was basically my bodyguard to protect me from this demon. And she talks about how they'll mention the fact, like, he seemed like a good dude, but deep down it's like he was missing something, like there was like something that was always troubling him and everything, basically referencing the fact, like, he kind of realistically just was just kind of him, like, kind of just a dude just going about his way, killing demons and everything, and that was realistically his purpose. And he had no true purpose. Now, Oaf was like, well, he does have a struggle to hide his feelings about things and stuff like that. So, and it's been one of the constant things we know. Like, he doesn't really express his feelings all too well, and he's just a dude that just is kind of reserved, keeps to himself and everything, and you can't really get the real Jinya, or the real Jinya out, because realistically, the real Jinya went away all those years ago when Shirayuki died, and Suzane ended up becoming a full demon and just embracing that. So yeah, now they come across this guy called, I think his name was Somegoro Akitsu, and basically, Ofu knows him, and is like been a regular, like, soba shop person, like, right then and there. So he basically gives Natsu this, like, I get this hairpin, right? This hairpin. So eventually what happens is Natsu puts this hairpin in, and her complete and her personality completely changes. Like, the look in her eyes is completely changed, and she's just like, where is, where is Nisama? And she's talking about older brother, and they're like, wait, what? So when Jinya comes into the soba shop, she is all fucking clingy with him, talking about older brother and stuff like that. And she's just really happy to see him, and she's just being very clingy. Now, Jinya's like, Natsu, are you okay? And Ofu and her dad are just like, look, she got this hairpin from this guy called Somegoro Akitsu. She put it in, and now she's been acting like this ever since then. And it's funny because the one guy who's kind of been like her caretaker is like, Natsu, what are you doing? Like, as if he was fucking jealous of the fact she's hugging all over freaking Jinya, right? Now, the thing is, she's being very clingy and everything. Now, Jinya wants to go out and find the Somogoro Akitsu. And they make a mention about that, like, nah, that guy's been dead for like centuries, bro. So clearly something's up, right? So Jinya has to go leave, but he has to calm Natsu down because Natsu is not having it. She's like, I want to go with you, older brother. And he's like, listen, I want you to stay here. It's okay, stay here. I promise, I'll come back. And she's like, okay, older brother. So she goes, and the episode ended off with him confronting Somogoro Kitsu, which then leads into episode 9, right? I thought it was absolutely weird. At first, I thought she got possessed by, well, it later find out she was kind of possessed by like a spirit or something, which changed her personality and everything into being like kind of like that of a, sister that wants. I don't know if that's maybe like kind of something similar to that of the, I don't know, maybe, I guess if you want to say something similar to that of Suzane, any maybe traces left to Suzane and stuff like that in there from her younger self and everything. But regardless, he confronts Somogoro Akitsu, and Akitsu basically deploys like, I get like these shadow dogs, right, to attack him. And we find out that Akitsu, he also kind of is a demon slayer as well, which was another thing that Jinya was finding out. Because also throughout these 2 episodes, he's talking to like, I'm guessing you can say this lady who I keep forgetting this, I keep forgetting what the name, what they're called, concubine, right? I'm guessing she was a concubine lady, and she's, because like when the episode starts off, bro, episode 8, mind you, this man Jinya showed no mercy to any damn demons. He killed like this demon kid, bro. I was like, fuck. I was like, what the heck? And this concubine makes mention, she's like, still acting like a young boy, I see. Basically making the mention of the fact, like, deep down, he still is a boy within, troubled at heart, not understanding what the thing is. Now, I don't know what the heck happened, because at the end of the episode, he ends up coming across her again, right? And I'm guessing it's implied, like, she would, like, I guess, because his mind's kind of all, at the end of the episode, his mind's kind of all warped and everything, and just kind of, bothered, and she's like, do you want me to take your mind off things or something like that? I don't know if like they actually like did the duty or did the dirty or something like that, and that was just his way to get, maybe it's just a one-time thing, but I don't know, right? We never know, because that's when we get the time skip, right? So anyways, what happens in so what happens is Jinya confronts Akitsu. He basically fights the shadow dogs, and the shadow dogs keep basically coming back because even though he's like chopping their heads off and everything, they're basically shadow dogs, right? Eventually what happens is he actually uses his demon powers to basically get the devil dogs under his control. And I'm just like, okay, that's a new interesting, I didn't know he could do that with his devil powers, and that basically shocks Akitsu. So he basically presses Akitsu. He's like, listen, there's something that I need to tell you about. This is what happened to somebody I know. You gave her this hairpin and her personality completely changed. And Akitsu's like, okay, hold on, I'll help you out here. Just put the sword away and everything, right? So we then cut to the nighttime, right? And we later kind of find out like he's kind of like, somebody, Akitsu, we kind of find out like he basically has, items that are possessed by like, where warrant like souls and stuff like that, and if somebody like kind of equips this, the soul of that individual comes out into this person, right? So the thing is, and I'm going back to look into the episode, right? Jinya and Natsu have a conversation, right? And they basically kind of talk about essentially like finding one's place and everything, and having a path that will basically take you back to what you once lost. So I don't know, this is like foreshadowing that Jinya will find a path to get back to, to bring back the ones he loves, aka Shirayuki, maybe get that younger Suzane out, Again, I don't know, but that's what I'm guessing. This soul that was possessing Natsu made the mention about like taking him back to that time period. What we get at the end of this show, he finds a way to go back in time and fix everything that happened. Make it to where Suzune doesn't, turn into the demon she is. He saves Shirayuki. Maybe he goes back in time, and if you remember from the first episode, Shirayuki basically offered him like, "Hey, I'm okay with foregoing this and running away with you, and we can go live together, right? We can start a family and everything." Is that what she's mentioning? Like, there's a path, there's a way to get back to once you once had. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to find out. But it was an interesting conversation, right? He does have one more conversation with Somagu Akitsu. He basically makes the mention like how he's just kind of been watching, what the demons do and everything, and he does give Jinya a warning, like, people are gonna hunt demons regardless. There are gonna be people out there that their jobs are to hunt demons, and Jinya's like, yeah, I know that. So, and it also seems like he's also been watching Ofu too to make sure like she's not like doing anything she's not supposed to be doing. Because Ofu doesn't make a mention and made a mention in episode 8, like um how he's been a soba shop. And my best guess is since he's also kind of a demon slayer, he's just been watching Ofu to make sure like she's not like turning into a crazed possessive demon that's evil or something like that. Otherwise he's gonna have to kill her. But we know Ofu isn't like that. She is actually a very loving and caring demon who's loved by an actual like human, person that she claimed that she's accepted as her father. So like we know Ofu's not gonna do the thing, not gonna be like evil or anything, right? So yeah. The next day, essentially we find out that one Natsu has all her memories of what happened when she was kind of possessed, which was funny because the one dude's like, "What's wrong with her?" And basically, Oph was like, "Well, she found out that she actually does remember what happened, yesterday in regards to the way she acted and everything." And the dude was funny, acting funny. He was like, "Oh, you mean when she was talking about, oh, older brother," and basically making fun of her. And Natsu gives this look like, "I will kill you if you bring any of that shit up," right? But she's also sad, and she's also, sad and bothered because she's like, how am I going to face Jinya, bro? How am I gonna face Jinya after I said all that embarrassing stuff? And she's kind of down in the dumps about that. Again, that's when I mentioned Jinya did have that conversation with the concubine lady. Again, I don't know if they did the deed for like a one night stand type of thing, but they talked about the cuckoo thing because before the possessiveness, before the possessiveness happened, basically Natsu created a cuckoo and that flew away and everything. So yeah, don't know if we're ever gonna see that conversation again with Natsu and Jinya about that whole funny business. It would have been funny if he had walked in and she's like, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean anything by." Regardless, we don't know how that turned out, but this is when we get to what we saw in the first episode, where we get to basically somewhat a more present time. We're only like probably about a decade away from where we're at in 2025, right? Again, I don't know if the show's going to take place in 2025. Maybe at the time of this story, this author made it in the year 2009, right? So we legitimately like fast forward immediately in the years because back then, because when we were last left off, we were like in like the 1800s, right? We were in the 1800s, and looking at episode 9, I think we're like 1857. I forgot whatever, but we were in the 1800s. Now we're in the 2000s, and it's 2009, a year before 2010, right? So you have it to where we finally get the scene, going forward after we saw in the first episode. Because you remember in the first episode, we literally time traveled to the year 2009, a more present like time, and we saw this. We saw Jinya basically walking up to this shrine maiden, basically talking about like, "Hey, what's the name of the shrine?" Right? And that's the thing, right? So we see this brown-haired girl talking about how she kind of doesn't want to do the shrine stuff, but her mother's like, well, listen, you got to do it. It's kind of in her family lineage and stuff like that. And basically, the daughter is kind of embarrassed about the fact, like, well, what if somebody from school sees me? They're gonna get the wrong impression and everything and stuff like that. And basically, the mom's like, well, listen, look, it's the duty of the women at the shrine to do that. And, that's kind of thing. She gives her these two rules. And the thing is, one of the rules is the fact, hold on, let me pull this up. You know, she says I was given two rules. One to add the night kanji to my daughter's name. And then the second rule was to never let the Miko line die out. She basically goes on to say, like, my grandmother insisted that we keep those traditions alive no matter what. Now, the interesting thing about this entire conversation, right? The mother of this girl, right? Um, she looks a lot, if not identically similar to that of Shirayuki. I saw that face. I'm like, oh my god, it looks like Shirayuki reincarnated. And it's funny because later um in the conversation, she talks about that's why you always have the Ya name in it. Shirayuki, right? Because that's in the name, right? And I think her name, I'm looking through the episode. The name is, I think the other girl's name is Miyuki. Now the girl questions, now obviously the mother is like, well, that's what your grandmother said. This tradition's gotta be continued to pass down. So basically, also too, she's also telling her daughter, like, hey, the only way to keep this line alive is you get married with somebody and you have a child with somebody to keep the line going on. And you have to make sure you keep the naming tradition and everything, right? And the daughter's like, but why? And essentially the mother's like, well, that's what the rules are. And the daughter's like, you cannot be serious about that, right? And basically the mom's like, look, even though we don't, know the reasons why behind it, the thing is, whoever originally in our family made these traditions, it's for a very important reason, because that's their tradition and that's the feelings that spread across our family line. She makes the mention about, like, that's why all the families have the Ya name in them. Now she goes on to make the mention how the sentiments of ages lost past, from the past, basically are all back again and everything. So yeah. Now she goes on to say, look, yeah, Miyaka-chan. That's her name. I was close. Miyuki Miyaka. Anyways, um, basically that's kind of what the mother says. Like, she's like, look, these are the traditions, these are the lines. You're basically gonna be the next in line to watch over this shrine, and everything. And then at the same time, you're gonna also have to get married, have a child, and then pass on that to the next generation. Right. So that's the thing right then and there. Now, again, I was just befuddled. I'm like, is this also what the possessed Natsu was talking about? Finding the past and getting back to what you once were, right? And then the fact that, Miyaka's mother basically looks like a descendant, a clear-cut descendant of Shirayuki. Now, how that bloodline continued on, I have no clue. Why she looks like Shirayuki, I have no clue. I have no absolute idea. Maybe we'll find that out. I don't know. It seems like going forward, we're going to be stuck in the year 2009. I don't know if we're going to cut back next week to the past and see any other future things, because we got 4 more episodes to go. It seems like we're going to still be, maybe just have a focus on 2009. Now, another thing that was also interesting is the fact that how the daughter kind of looks a lot like Suzane. Now, she doesn't have the short hair, but she has the same colored hair as what Shirayuki had. The only difference is the eyes. The eyes are kind of the shade of Jinya and obviously Shirayuki, right? but the hair color is exactly similar to that of Suzane was. It's just long, right? So I'm just wondering, like, is this like what again Natsu was possessed? Like, hey, you'll find your way, you'll find something similar to what you once had, right? You'll find that path again. And is this when now we now the thing is it's gonna be interesting to see if when Jinya sees Miyaka's mother, because it seems like Miyaka has taken an interest in Jinya, right? Um, and in Jinya, and maybe if she brings over the shrine and Jinya sees her mother, he's going to think of Shirayuki, and that's going to create a whole bunch of other thing craziness because it's going to be like, wait, what? So yes. But that's the thing. We get that scene where Jinya ends up showing up at the shrine. He asks like, hey, what's the shrine's name called? And Miyaka's like, oh, this shrine is called Jinta Shrine. And Jinya gets very emotional because he's like, you kept my promise to keep this shrine, the same name as it should have been, right? So yeah, he starts crying. Miyaka sees him crying, and she's like, "What the hell? What is?" And then he's like, "Thank you. I'll take my leave." And everything. She's just like, "What was that about?" Right? So then we cut further. At first, I thought that was when the episode was going to end right then and there, right? And I'm like, okay, this is where the episode ends, blah, 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 blah. Maybe he's found his true purpose at this point in time. That's it. That was the end of the story, right? No, we get some more further details. We see that Miyaka is going to this school, this high school, I'm guessing, right? And she's happy that I think everyone remembers she's in the same class as her friend or something. But then they look at they look at the like the class assignments, right? And you see Jinya's name on it. So Jinya is going to this school, right? And he walks up, he's still got his sword in hand, like kind of wrapped around and everything, right? And Miyaka sees Jinya and she's like, wait, it's that guy from the shrine. And that's where the episode ends off right then and there. So I wonder if, we're still gonna if now I guess the focus is gonna be on in this time period of 2009. Again, we got 4 more episodes left of the show. So I'm guessing we're just gonna be focused. The rest is gonna be focused in 2009. I don't know if we're gonna maybe cut back again to the past or something. Maybe if we cut back to the past, we're gonna be in the 1900s. I don't know, right? We'll have to see. Maybe we do cut back to the past and we cover an episode in the 1900s, right? And then, or at some time period, maybe the next episode 11 is another portion in the 1900s, and then maybe episode 12 is in the 2000s, and then in the final episode 13, we're in the present where we're currently at, which is 2009 and stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like that's my best guess, and my bad. It was around the 1854. I don't know. Maybe that's my best guess. Maybe we do cut back to the past again, but this time instead of being in the 1800s, we're in the 1900s at some point. We have 2 more episodes focusing in the 1900s, and then we have episode 12 and 13 take place in the 2000s, right? Maybe, episode 12 is early 2000s or something like that, maybe like 2002, 2003, 2004, or 2005, and then the last episode takes place where we currently last left off in 2009, where that's currently going on. So yeah, and then again, I don't know if there's any more content after these 13 episodes that are left to adapt, in terms from the original source material. There might be, but again, very much interesting to see where he goes. But if we're just going to cut to 2009 content, I'm okay with that. So yeah, but again, it was very interesting when I saw the 2 shrine maidens. One looked like Shirayuki, a lot similar to that of Shirayuki, and then the other one looked that of Suzane. Now, could the question be, is that actually Suzane just taking on this mantle of Miyaka? I don't know. We could find out and stuff like that. Who knows, right? I could just be fantasy, theorizing and stuff like that, but that's just me. I think this could just be some random girl that's just in this line. Now, the only thing that needs to be explained, like, okay, why does the mom look so much like Shirayuki? And stuff like that. And why does the girl look like Suzune? Now, again, it could be this whole mention of like finding your path again and something. Maybe this is something similar to that that Jinya can once get. Albeit we know that maybe he can't get with this dude's mom because clearly the mom is married and everything, unless I guess the mom, well, I can't read, and plus the dude's going to school. I'm guessing he's gonna settle with. I'm guessing at some point he's gonna settle with Miyaka. I don't know. It's strange, right? It's strange because this man's gonna be like, yeah, I'm kind of 1,000 years old, like years old. So I don't know. I'm just theorizing and stuff like that. But yeah. But overall, last 3 episodes of Sword of Demon Hunter were great. The last 2 episodes were amazing, and we'll see if we're gonna be in the year 2009 or if we're just gonna cut back to the past again. So yeah, I feel like we are gonna cut back to the past because maybe there's still some things Jinya still clearly needs to know, but maybe if he's figured all we need to figure out from the past, we're gonna see how the 2009s go and stuff like that. So we'll see. And if we do, I'm very intrigued to see what his reaction to Miyaka's mother is going to be because he's gonna be freaking out. He's gonna be like as if he saw a ghost. Because he's gonna be like Shirayuki, and she's now we do not hear the mother's name. We do not hear the mother's name. In weird coincidence, what if the mother's name is also Shirayuki? Dude, that oh man, bro. Oh man, that would be crazy, bro. All right, but I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Catch you guys in the next video. Until then, guys, stay safe out there. Have a great rest of your day, or your night. I'm trying this video. Until then, guys, stay safe. Peace.